I've never been in a position, obviously, that I was in for recovery. I was out of work and out of commission from September. So I worked right up until the day of my surgery. So my surgery was September 30th. Best believe I was at work until September 29th. Like, a tumor was not going to stop me. Pain or no pain. Like, I came to work, I did my due diligence. And so from September 30th until I started working on December 15th was recovery. And that was just initial recovery, the time I needed to take away from work to heal. But recovery in general took longer. To be honest, sometimes I feel like I'm still recovering. I think the biggest problem with recovery was me relearning certain things, me getting used to my new personality throughout the process. After surgery, there's some big things I had to relearn. Woke up from that room, had to be pushing, pills and drugs because it just cut my head. So there's a lot of pain from the surgery itself. I don't remember if I could differentiate between the headaches versus the pain from, hey, they just cut my skull open. So there was a lot of that. Another thing was eating again. It was something that obviously you can't eat. I think anybody who's had a surgery can have, probably have these similar things that they deal with. I think one big one for me was readjusting to walking again. I remember the first day the physical therapist came in and tried to get me out of bed. I had no balance. And I was a little nervous because I'm just like, okay, y'all did a surgery on my brain. What's going on with my legs? And I do know that some of the side effects of the surgery that the doctor spoke to me about before was I would have, be weak in my hands, weak in my legs. Some people have been asking me for more pictures and videos. So let's take this brief moment to watch this video. This was in fact my second time with the physical therapist. That's because my parents weren't there the first time around to catch it on camera.
Oh, that's okay. I appreciate the thought. He's getting a little snub. We'll loosen up on these. Good. Okay. While we're out in the hall, let me know before you get too tired so we can get back in the room, okay? I'm gonna take some big breaks in me. Am I ready to stand on that? Go for it. Nice. How do you feel standing up? Dizziness? Roll down, yeah. Alright, let's stand here for a second and see if that's okay, you ready to curve off in then? No, you're covered. That's always a concern in hospitals. Okay, you ready? Right.
Other things that I realized was my personality shifted. It came from, at some point, I felt like I was a kid again for a brief moment in recovery. I felt like a child emotionally. It was very weird. And then it moved on to anger and frustration at everything around me. And then after that, it was just being sad. I remember at one point, there was like maybe a week where I was just completely depressed. Think for anybody out there, if you have somebody who went through a major surgery like I have, many people, think, they want to be alone. They don't want to be bothered. And maybe some people are like that. For me, I struggled with feeling as though I didn't have anyone. Even though like my mom was there all the time and, my dad was there, I felt like I didn't have anyone because I guess people were afraid of being, honestly, I can't speak for everybody else, but I went through a phase of just being depressed, feeling like I don't know myself. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be myself when recovery is over. I'm a reporter, and so my job depends on telling people stories. And at one point, I was just wondering, will I be able to do this again? What if, I was having different thoughts, like what if the tumor was the reason I was able to be me? What if the tumor was who I was? Because according to the doctors, like, my tumor could have been growing for a very long time, for years. And so I was just like, what if that is me? What if I won't be able to do my job anymore? What if I won't be able to tell stories? I remember getting so emotional and depressed, and my nurse kept telling me to journal, and I do have a journal now, but the truth is I couldn't. Every time I started to write or type on my laptop, I just couldn't express myself. And even now, like, I have gotten a long way. I think I'm at peace with it now that I'm able to talk more about it. But I tell you, recovery is something else. It's not just about, your scar healing. It's about you as a person realizing that, like, this is what I just went through. And the truth is, like, remember, like, I went into surgery 15 days after finding out I had a tumor, meaning I didn't have any time to process before surgery. I didn't have time to really sit down and realize what was going on with me. So those 3 months that I was out was me trying to figure out, like, what just happened. And so I was going through all the emotions, from being sad, from being angry at the world, from being frustrated, from wanting people around me. And the truth is, there was some points where I felt like I just didn't have anyone apart from my parents. I'm gonna always say that, because I don't know if it was fear or what, but at some point I felt like I wanted people around me, but they either didn't know or cared to. And I mean, eventually, and a part of that had to do with my parents being afraid of people bringing in the COVID virus. I'm gonna always haunt them for that one.
Just to be clear here, when I say I felt like I didn't have anyone, I don't mean literally. What I mean is, I know I had well-wishers, we will get to them in a second, but there's a loneliness that comes with going through recovery. There are also those people who you want to visit or call, but they don't, for their own reasons, of course.
Eventually, when we were like, people can visit, I remember my coworkers. I think the truth is, one of the things that pulled me through recovery was having my colleagues who visited, who sent cards. I remember every day my parents going down to the mailbox and bringing cards. And honestly, it was one of the things that I looked forward to each day, the mail. The text messages when I could read them, because again, after surgery, I couldn't really see clearly for a little while. And, or if I did look at my phone, I was dizzy a lot. But yeah, be 100% honest, I'm gonna always be grateful for every colleague who dropped by twice a week. Some dropped by once a week. My boss who came by, Wayne came by.
Also, I felt it necessary to mention there were people, especially from my job, that I honestly was not expecting to reach out, and I will forever be grateful for them.
Once I, was at the point where it's time for me to get out, I remember one day my parents, this was my first day out ever, and my parents were like, let's go to brunch. And I remember stepping out of the car, and I had a scarf on my head that day. Again, it was my first time out, so I wanted to cover it. It was my first post-op visit, that's what it was. And my first day, my parents was like, let's have brunch after the post-op. And I remember breaking down, just in tears, because I didn't recognize myself. I I felt embarrassed, I felt weak, I felt sick. I felt like when you looked at me, you saw a sick person.